All right, let's just get started. I'm gonna take the spool off by undoing that knob right there, lifting that up, and take this handle off. It's kind of like backing it up like that. These are the two pieces we're gonna work on first. So I'll set that up over here. For the spool, I'm gonna take a small flathead screwdriver, stick that inside one of the channels close to where one end of the spring is. Push in and up. Keep your finger over so it doesn't go flying somewhere. I'm gonna see what that looks like. See if they need to be changed or not. I'm suspecting it does not. That has a little bit of wear in it, but I think that's fine as well. And this is still usable. Alright, so there's a setup for that. To open this handle up, we're going to undo this screw right here. And if it doesn't come out, then I will show you a different way of getting it out, but it comes out, so nice and easy. They don't always come out that easy. I'm sure you probably know that already, so see if I can get this out. Alright, there we go. I just kind of twist it and pull it down. Sometimes you can go straight up, sometimes you can pull up or down. I can't tell you why. Well, I can tell you why. It's because we wear them out, sort of thing. Or we use the wrong one. Alright, so that's it. Alright, so I'm gonna clean this stuff up. I'm definitely gonna use some 4 steel wool here on parts here. And I may end up opening this up so I can spray some Corrosion X on top of some, or in some places here. And Q-tips and paper towels and a nice little metal or wire brush. Alright, so I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright, so let's go ahead and do the simplest part first, which will be the handle. I'm going to add some grease to the inside, right there. A little bit over that hole where the screw is going to start through. Grease that. Grease this as well. I'm not sure where that sound came from, but I don't actually have a comment behind it. Stick a little bit of grease inside that hole right there, and you can add some grease inside here if you wanted to. I am not going. I will do it. I want to protect the inside of that as well, so we don't have any rustage happening inside there. Alright, so the way it's going to look is like this. I'm getting to here. Resistance, turn it until there's no resistance, push it straight through. Drop this in. Stick it into that hole, and then we're going to screw it in. Make sure it's snug down. I'm going to oil right here. Stick it inside here and oil there as well. And that's Real X that I'm using. Then just kind of turn it. Sounds a lot better already. Alright, so for the handle, I did take the click tongue off, or the assembly off. So it's these 3 pieces here. I left the hook intact on that side. Clean this stuff up. You have a bushing, the click tongue, and the screw to secure it. I'm going to add some Corrosion X right there, just like that. Then I'm going to set this up, and the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to add some oil to it. Sometimes it gets blocked. I'm going to drop this on over it, kind of like this. And then I'm going to stick the screw into it. For me, it's just a little bit easier to do it this way than to try to set everything up afterwards. Then I'm just going to drop it over the hole and then screw it in. Now to get that end piece over, we're just going to carry this piece over like this. With like a pick or a flathead screwdriver or something that's pretty small. I'm just going to drop it over it. When you get over it, make sure it's sitting beneath the ridge at the top so it doesn't go flying out on you. Alright, so for the top part, you'll notice there's quite a bit of corrosion happening here. I'm gonna add some Corrosion X all around it. Some on top here as well. And the reason that stuff happens that you see there is quite simply because you keep relying on there too long and you don't wash your reel down. In general, that's why it happens. That's not the only reason, but that's a good enough reason for you to change your line, especially if it's like mono or something, which is pretty cheap. Change that every year or every couple of years, or at least wash your reel down when you're done with it. Now I'm gonna let this sit for a second. I'm gonna go ahead and do the drag washers. So for these, I just kind of wipe them off because they look to be original, and they didn't use drag grease when they first put these in. But if they had drag grease on them and you wanted to put new drag grease on it, you could use something like a brake clean or something to clean that off and then put new drag grease on it. What I'm using to lube those is Cal's Universal Grease. And we're just going to start with one of the hex washers, or the octagonal washers. Then you have the Teflon washer, and these are different sizes. Can I tell you it really matters? I don't know if it really matters or not, but the thicker one goes on top, or vice versa. We're going to put the thicker one on top, which just kind of makes sense in my head. So these are what I did there. The keyed washer, one of the HG100 drag washers, the final octagonal washer, final keyed washer, HG100 washer, and then sticking that thicker keyed washer on top. Why do they have two different sizes? I don't know. I'm sure it's a spacing issue, but I think you could have made a better design than that. I'm just going to wipe this off. And you have some residual that's in there, which is kind of all we're looking for. Alright, let's go ahead and get the rotor taken off so we can work on that first. To do that, we're going to open these 3 screws up. And the ones that get stuck on here is this bottom one and that top one up there. Oh, please come up. Actually, if it doesn't come up, I'll show you something that I use a lot to take care of these reels. I would design, it's not a design actually, but it's a it's a tool that I use to kind of get these things up. Ooh, that sounded bad, but doesn't look bad. Looks okay. I'm gonna show you the tool that I use while we're here. All right, so this is just the Captiva 6000, I think, or 8000 size spool. So if I need to press something out, not on these per se, but on this, like the 750 and 850s, and even like the 650s, you can't fit. Well, we don't use that, but you can't fit that in there through here, through there, to get that that bearing off. So you kind of have to use this to support it. I'm sure you can get a cylinder the same size. I just used this instead. It was free and it does the trick. I think that made sense to some of you guys out there. To the others who don't really work on reels that much, I don't think it made a lot of sense. Anyhow, all right, so let's go ahead and undo these 2 screws here. And I have a little story behind this as to why I don't take these all the way off. A long time ago, one time I opened these up, took these out, used a cleaner to clean these things off, and I couldn't get these screws back in. I could have been doing the wrong screws altogether or something of that nature, but ever since then I just leave them in and not even worry about taking them off. Now I'm taking everything out of here. That's not really the goal, but since it's so empty anyhow, I'm going to take everything out. Get on to the top part, and it's counterclockwise to remove it. Oof, that was tightness. And we're going to work on this in a sec, but since I'm up here already, I want to take the rest of it off just to kind of show you what it looks like. Then this way we don't have to worry about it. Ooh. Let's see if this one comes off. Didn't think so. Alright, so I'm going to gently, I'm barely touching this. That's it. Because you don't want to leave any marks on those things, so you got to be real careful with it. When you come to this part up here, that's a different story. It's a little tough to not leave marks on it, but looks like we have issues with bearings on this. They work, so we might leave them in there. Alright, so get this all apart, taken apart, we're just going to do these screws here. And whenever I'm taking these screws out, I do like to go back and forth just to make sure that it's still working its way down and up and not just snapping off on me. It's not. I don't think this one's stuck in there too bad though. So let's use this first technique. Let me go ahead and remove the rest of these pieces first before you even touch it. One screw there, and one screw up here. That's a big thing into some other. I'll just pull it down. Same thing with this one. Putting the levers on, pushing up, kind of popping those out. And we can pull the liners out. The liners are different sizes. The one on this side is a little bit smaller than the one on this side over here. So just bear that in mind when you go to put these back in. Alright, so I'm going to use my my adjustable wrench here, my little vice grip. And I'm going to grab the flat sides and pull. If that doesn't work, I have other ways of doing it. I think this should work though. Make sure I grab something that I'm not going to break. So my finger's down in there versus around this post here. it didn't seem like it was in there that tough, so that's why I went to that first. Alright, so let's go ahead and undo this stuff here. You can see there's a lot of corrosion and stuff happening here. So there might be some work that we need to put into this to get this off. So it's good for me to show you kind of what I would do here if things are kind of frozen up or something on me. That's not. Alright, so I'm going to try loosening all these screws first. Make sure there's no damage there. That's not going to work, so I'm going to work on this side first. And I'll show you a little trick to remove it from this side. So let's try doing this right away. Oh, that's pretty good. I'm gonna use my cloth for this one versus like a paper towel or something. Kind of wrap it around there. Make sure I'm only grabbing the metal piece, which is what I'm doing. And then let's see if it works. I'm off camera, I apologize. Alright, so we can tell that's not going to work right away. So what we're going to do here is spray this down with some Corrosion X. And I won't be showing you this on camera, but I'm going to tell you what I'm going to be doing, and I will still leave this side alone, so when I get this off I can show you how to do on this side. I'm going to go back and forth spraying it down. Just like that. Pulling out a heat source. I'm going to light it up all around it. All I'm trying to do is to break loose that that lock that corrosion has on it. What I like to see is when that starts to bubble up on me, like right there. See bubbling right there? And when I get to that point, I won't even touch. I've just started doing this, so I'm not going to use the vice grip to get this off yet. I'll drop some of that in there. It'll splatter around a little bit. Some in here. Then it just kind of works its way down into that little gap there, and helps free that stuff up. Alright, so some are going to be worse than others. This takes a little longer to come off than others might. Just be aware of that when you're doing it. Alright, so I left this side on so I can show you one way that we can get that taken off. It's just to undo this side and rotate this way. It just pulls it off. You want to be careful here doing this as well, because you can certainly break that bail wire if it's on there very tight. But this gives you a little bit more leverage to be able to unscrew that. Just like so. So we see there's nothing holding it at this point, just the corrosion. And we see the kind of grip it has on that. Let's check this first and see what we got going on here. Ooh, nothing too bad. We can kind of clean that stuff up a little bit, so that's good. Okay, put that to the side. I'm gonna undo this screw. Be careful when you do this. You don't want to snap any of this stuff off. Gently lift up. Let's see what I can do to get that out of there. Where's the hole? Right there. That's frozen in there. Can't be that bad, can it? If you rock too much, you can break it off, so be careful. Doing it this way is a little better. Just kind of loosens things up. But neither one's working, so let's try this. Alright, we'll leave it on there for now. We're going to take it off when we remove all these pieces. Alright, so you see there's a shorter end and a longer end. I'm gonna try to get this out. If I can't get it out, I'm sure we can. Oh, there we go. Out it came. This I'm gonna do a little bit something different for it to get out. So I won't really show you that part, but I'll come back to you and try to put this stuff together, as well as the rest of the stuff on the reel. Okay, we can reuse most of the stuff, so that's what we're gonna do. The only thing I'm replacing here would be that line roller bushing. Everything else will just stay the same. So let's go ahead and start greasing these things up. I'm gonna grease around here. Some inside that hole as well. Here. And on those threads. That should suffice. A little bit right here. Where's the hole? Right there. It's kind of in that general area. Up there. Somewhere with that hole right there. And on this side we're going to do just grease around the outside and grease the inside where those threads are. You can also grease around here while you're at it. And let's stick the bushing on. Before that, let me go ahead and add some grease there as well. And then we can take our line roller washer, get some grease inside there as well. This is probably one of the hardest things to find for these reels. A little bit around the tip, kind of like that. Now I'm going to add some here, and definitely some inside there. I think that's all we're going to do for that stuff. Let's take the lock washer in. And now we're going to take this line roller washer, set it like that, just drop this on. Then we're going to secure that with the screw. We're not going all the way down yet. We're just going to kind of get that started. About right there, looks good. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is screw this side in. I'll lie to you. So the first thing I'm going to do is put this bail arm side on. Kind of like that. And you can do one of two ways. You can do it this way, which some may feel is a little bit trickier. I don't know if it does that bad, but it doesn't always work either. I don't like to go all the way down on these things right away, but on this one I think I do. I'm going to kind of lock that in there. Make sure it's not caught. And it's not. Add a little bit more grease to the top right here just to make sure. Find the hole set over it. Then we're going to kind of push and rotate as we go down until we find that slot. I think we just found it right there. So now I'm going to take this, push it against my body, and get the screw through there. Only way I can do it. So I apologize for being off camera on this one. Alright, so we just get it started there. Now we can work the rest of it down. Now we can take this side and kind of screw that in. Now we can take the line roller and snug it down. Just making sure that it works, and it does. So that's good. Snug these down to make sure they're secured. Alright, let's get this put back together. I'm going to try to save all these bearings. So I cleaned them off as well as I could. And I'm just going to oil them, then test them out afterwards. If they sound fine, I'm going to leave them in there. Because these are pretty expensive. Probably going to oil them a second time before I put them in. But I want to work that oil in, or a first set of oil in. This is the one that concerns me the most. This one seems to be working okay, so we might be alright. Alright, so we're going to do the top part first. I'm going to grease the pinion bearing. I like to grease all of it. Make sure you hit the threads at the top. A little bit of grease around this. These are the parts we're going to put on first. Then we'll kind of jump around a little bit. Definitely grease this. I'm not going to show you this part on camera because it's not that easy to see. But one is smaller than the other. The smaller one, remember I said, goes down here on the bottom. Get our springs out. And I think this is all we're going to do for now in terms of getting things put in place. Alright, so we're going to grease inside that hole right there and that hole right there. While we're here, we might as well grease inside there and a little bit right there. That should work. First one I'm going to do is this side. Get our spring, put a little bit of grease on the tip of it and stick it in. You're not putting in the bushing yet. I'm going to rotate it like this. Hold down on this so it stays in place, and rotate this, and that's set. Now I'm going to take our bushing, stick that in, then just secure it with one of these screws. Make sure it works, because that's always good if it does. Same thing with this one. Kind of, we're gonna either work that bushing in while we have it kind of part way in, or we'll do it at the end. It's more of a feel for this one. Hate to tell you. I kind of just do it this way most of the time, and then work the bushing in afterwards. Problem with this one, it has a lot of play. Make sure you hold on to the top part so you don't push that out. You got to find a kind of wiggle that in. That looks good enough so far. Then we can secure it. Notice while I was holding my finger over that spring so that it didn't go anywhere. Now we can drop some grease on top of those. That should be good. Alright, so for the rest of the pinion, I'll take that bearing. Like I said, I would add some more to it. Drop that on there. Drop that in place. Then we're going to add some residual grease and oil to this. Take our 3 silver screws here and secure it. I'm probably going to fast forward or cut through this part because this takes a little while for me to get done. Snug these on pretty good. Now we can grease these pieces up here. Light amount of grease on the ratchet, not too much. Actually, a light amount for all of them, but you can grease some more than others. A little bit inside the teeth right there. I think that's all we're going to do there for now. So first thing I'm going to put on is this click ratchet, which is this side. And the way that's going to sit is, I'm going to take this and just kind of, I'm going to open that up like that. I'm going to spread it between the 2 pieces. So you have 1 point over here and 1 point over here. I'm going to hold my finger over it, find the hole that it goes inside of. You can do it this way or you can do it the other way where you just have the spring on this side. I kind of like this way because this is kind of the way it was done. But this isn't always the easiest part either. So this for me is a lot easier than doing the other way. Now I'm just securing it with a screw. I'm going to work this down about halfway, maybe 2/3 of the way down. When I get there, I'm going to stop, take my finger, flick that piece of the wire over to the other side, then just continue on. And now we're set. I'll tighten these on in a second. Let's open that back up for now. Drop this on so we don't forget it. And now we can take our dog for the other side. Make sure this is good. Feels a little bit loose, so I'm going to tighten it a little bit by just kind of squeezing down on it. That feels better. We're going to open this up to where it looks like that. Drop it down just like so, and then we're going to secure it. As you work these screws down, you have to kind of play with them sometimes because they'll want to get caught on the shoulders or sides of these holes that go inside these dogs. So you just gotta kind of work it. I'm snugging these down now. Don't over tighten these things. Like, don't go too hard on them. You can actually snap those things off and it is not fun. So don't even do it. But you want to snug them down. Last piece, I just kind of balance over there like that. Then just screw that in. Same kind of deal for this as for the dogs. So when I get to pretty much almost all the way down, I'm going to add some oil to right at the top there. Then I'm going to work the rest in, meaning the screw. That looks good. I'm going to engage this so I can set this up. It'll look just like that. We're going to take that part, line that up with the square or hex inside that ratchet, then secure it. And the reason you keep that open like that is so this keeps those this keeps that centered, and it just kind of falls in pretty easily. Now we can take our washer, stick that over it, kind of rotate the rotor as you push that down. Then you can stick that nut on there. For me, that's tight enough. You don't need to go crazy on this. I'm gonna leave that engaged for now, but at some point I'm probably gonna take that off. I will take it off so I can work on the rest down here. I'm gonna grease this up really quickly. Decent amount around the post. Decent amount inside here. Then you can lightly coat the rest of it. I'm kind of just sticking my brush inside like that, and just kind of rotating it around to get inside there. As you can see, I like to just cover the entire surface area of these gears here. And before I forget, I'm going to stick that washer that we had to come off of here back on there. Let me take the one side, add some grease inside this hole. Stick our bearing in there. I'm going to add some grease on those threads on the outside. Doesn't need to go the whole way around. Just got to get started so that I can work its way in. Leave that open for now. Grease inside here where the the crosswind gear is going to sit, right along there and there. And that is pretty much it. Drop our crosswind gear in like that. Put the block somewhere down the bottom, kind of like so. And then we're going to stick this in, looking just like that. Add some grease where this is going to sit inside the block. You can add a light amount of grease to the entire thing if you wanted to. I don't normally do it. I'm going to grease up here where that thrust washer will be sitting. Alright, so now we just drop this in. Now this is the point where I would open this up and leave it where it can go in both directions, because sometimes I make a mistake and I need to get backwards. And that can't always happen if I have it engaged. Adding some grease to those holes. Probably gonna add grease to the threads on those screws as well. So it's one thing where you just kind of have to play with it. I'm looking for the gap so I can open that up, kind of like that. Then just push it straight through. The way this is going to line up is that flat side will be facing up. Right there. Now we can just drop that in place by pounding it. Gently, that is. Snug that down. That's good to go. Add some grease inside here and on the threads as well. Drop that inside. A little more oil. Take it and just rest it over it. Hopefully it goes down. It did. So that's good. Now for these I think it's like a 50-50 sort of thing. Sometimes I grease them. Sometimes it's just oil. Or I grease to the holes. These I'm going to grease to show you can grease them as well. This just helps the water not lock these in place. Kind of like that. Good, snug these down. And let's go ahead and cover this stuff up. Stick our washer on there. I'm taking my glove off at this point. Sometimes when you don't line these up properly, it just does not go on properly. So sometimes you actually have to play with this craziness. Drag feels good. Oh, that feels really nice. Nice. Turn off the click dog. That works, which is always a good thing. I think that is it. Alright guys, if you found the video useful, hit the thumbs up button, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.